Shit. Oh, is it time to start already? Okay. I'm almost there. I'm here.
Careful what you say.
Yes. Everything's slipping. All right, all right. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. All right, good. Everything's slipping off of here, but that's okay. Oh, you start, right? You're first? What? You're first on the agenda, right, or am I? You are. All right. Okay. Okay.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Peggy Kimball. I'm the worship associate for today. And Reverend Janet is not here. This is Wendy Fitting, our minister in the past. So I have a couple of announcements. First of all, thank gosh, there's a hot lunch provided today in the social hall that used to be called the vestry. This Tuesday, there will be a book discussion at 3 o'clock. We're talking about the book Unfinished Love Story, an unfinished love story by Doris Kearns Goodwin. And Peter Hornbeck is the leader. I don't see Jim Seavey, so I hope he's okay. In the announcements, it said next week he will deliver a talk about Turkey, about the political discussion, the suppression of Muslim groups. This week also, on Wednesday, there's Lectio Divina, which is at 4 o'clock on Zoom. And on Friday, with Reverend Janet, there are these lunches, not lunches, Mug Up gatherings. And that's pretty much all. There's childcare up below by Kiana. Wendy is a graduate of Harvard Divinity School. She was the minister here.
Was, yeah.
So that's it.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's cold outside. Still winter, I guess. Although we're going to try to welcome spring today. Can you hear me okay, everybody? Yeah? Okay, good. The opening words are by Annie Dillard. She writes, "We are here to abet creation and to witness it, to notice each other's beautiful face and complex nature, so that creation need not play to an empty house." Let's sing the first hymn, number 357 in the gray hymnal. nice morning. I'm not used to this anymore. Yeah, it's good to be together and stay warm in here and make sure that we notice each other's beautiful face and complex nature. We don't want creation to play to an empty house. So now we have chalice lighting, right? Yes?
This is not working very well.
Got it?
No. There we go. Got it.
And we're going to say together our affirmation printed in the order of service. Cat if you want to. It's a UU church. Sit, stand, lie down. Try not to take a nap. It'll hurt my feelings. Okay, so in light of the started. Now, I understand, please be seated. I understand that you started a tradition here, lighting a peace candle to remember, to remind us all that the world is spinning faster than most of us would like, and especially in Eastern Europe with the war in Ukraine. Especially now, I think, as always, about that war and being able to decipher lies from truth and information from misinformation, et cetera. It's tough to do. But we are keeping our minds and hearts stayed on justice and peace in Ukraine, as well as the rest of that region, which is pretty teetery right now. So this is a good reminder to light this flame and have it light up our resolve to stand for justice and peace. Got it? She's doing it. I want to thank Peggy and Steve for being here today. It's a pleasure to see you again. And Peggy's an old friend, church member. She knows the drill. And it's a big help to me because your worship service has changed a little bit, so I'm liable to put something in the wrong place. But I think with Peggy's help, I'll stay on task here. Okay, the reading this morning is from the novel The Bone People by Carrie Hume. I think it was, gosh, a number of years ago, a bunch of years ago, late 80s maybe, that this book came out. And it's a book about the indigenous people of New Zealand. And she writes, "They were nothing more than people by themselves, even paired and pairing. They would have been nothing more than people by themselves. But altogether, they have become the heart and muscles and mind of something perilous and new, something strange and growing and great. Together, all together, They are the instruments of change. I find that encouraging. And now the second hymn. Sit for the second, sit, yes, okay, sit for the second hymn. Take it easy. Number 89 in the gray hymnal. Oh, I read that already. I'm going to read a poem for the second reading. This is Fantasia for Elvira Shataya by Adrian Rich. And the note that Rich gives us at the beginning of the poem reads, Elvira Shataya was the leader of a women's climbing team, all of whom died in a storm on Lennon Peak, August 1974. Later, Shataya's husband found and buried the bodies. The cold felt cold until our blood grew colder, then the wind died down and we slept. If in this sleep I speak, it's with a voice no longer personal. I want to say, with voices. When the wind tore our breath from us at last, we had no need of words. For months, for years, each one of us had felt her own yes growing in her, slowly forming as she stood at windows, waited for trains, mended her rucksack, combed her hair. What we were to learn was simply what we had up here, as out of all words, that yes gathered its focus, fused itself in only just in time to meet a no of no degrees, the black hole sucking the world in. I feel you climbing toward me, your cleated boot soles leaving their geometric bite colossally embossed on microscopic crystals, as when I trailed you in the Caucasus. Now I am further ahead than either of us dreamed anyone would be. I have become the white snow, packed like asphalt by the wind. The women I love, lightly flung against the mountain. That blue sky, our frozen eyes unribboned through the storm. We could have stitched that blueness together like a quilt. You come, I know this, with your love, your loss, strapped to your body with your tape recorder, camera, ice pick. You come against advisement to give us burial in the snow and in your mind. while my body lies out here, flashing like a prism into your eyes. How could you sleep? You climbed here for yourself. We climbed for ourselves. When you have buried us, told your story, ours does not end. We stream into the unfinished, the unbegun, the possible. Every cell's core of heat pulsing out of us into the thin air of the universe. The armature of rock beneath these snows, this mountain which has taken the imprint of our minds, as those through changes, elemental and minute, as those we underwent to bring each other here, choosing ourselves, each other, and this life, whose every breath and grasp and further foothold is somewhere still enacting and continuing. In the diary I wrote, now we are ready, and each of us knows it. I have never loved like this. I have never seen my own forces so taken up and shared and giving back. After the long sieges, the early stages, where is it? Oh, we are moving almost effortlessly in our love. In the diary, as the wind began to tear at the tents over us, I wrote, we know now we have always been in danger, down in our separateness, and now up here together. But till now, we had not touched our strength. In the diary torn from my fingers, I had written, what does love mean? What does it mean to survive? A cable of blue fire ropes our bodies, burning together in the snow. We will not live to settle for less. We have dreamed of this all of our lives. I find that encouraging. It's sad, but encouraging. A lot of strength in these words and her vision. So now we have the offering. I'm going to take a bit of a liberty here. I'm going to read Reflections on the Lord's Prayer. Something that years ago we did as a church when we were looking at the language that we use in the worship service and talking about how it could be made more relevant to our lives, more approachable. So looking at things like calling God Lord or our Father, all the male imagery and pronouns. And so various people took it upon themselves to do a recasting of the Lord's Prayer. And I want to read this. This is by Vicki Lindsay, who was my dear friend who died a couple of weeks ago. So I'm missing her and I'm remembering her, especially in her thoughtful words. So I'm going to read this, Reflections on the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Blessed are you, creator of the universe, whose name beyond naming is the unknown name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. May it come to pass in this garden of earth that your kingdom reigns above all lesser kingdoms, and that we see your presence in our daily work as we do in the patterns of the distant stars of heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Give us bread and give us mercy. Teach us to judge gently, that we may be gently judged. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And bless us with your light, that we may see. Teach us to distinguish good from evil, so that we may do no harm. Amen. So thinking about Vicki, she was the person who told me this story. She was a physicist, professor, and an astronomer. And she told me this story about an astronomer that she came to know. She said that she'd recently met a man at a birthday party, a man in his late 50s, a psychologist. They got on to one of Vicki's favorite subjects, astronomy, because the guy was an ardent amateur in that field. He'd grown up in public housing in the Bronx, in a turbulent family. He was often kicked out of the house or left on his own in anger. Now, there happened to be a tree near the place. There weren't many, but there was a pretty substantial tree, and he would climb that tree to vent his pain and rage at heaven. It became a regular place for his escape. And eventually, as his rage subsided, he began simply to look up. And when the weather was gentle and the sky was clear, this man began to notice the night sky and its enchantments. Gradually, his rage perch became his peace perch, and so began his lifelong fascination with the celestial bodies. Now think of all the ways this person's life could have gone: angry ways, violent ways, wasted days and years, except that he looked up. An interviewer once asked the great opera singer Beverly Sills if she was happy. She paused and then replied that she couldn't really say she was happy, but that she was often cheerful. Not bad. I thought about that one beautiful sunny morning in February as I walked with my dogs at Brace Cove. Dogs are a little like the lilies of the field. They toil not, neither do they spin. While my dogs delighted in the symphony of smells and the seaweed, I considered a flock of ducks bobbing and quacking on the sea swells. Across Niles Pond, a figure appeared, and threw handfuls of gold pebbles from a red bucket across the ice. I heard a whistling and looked around for a bird, only to realize it was the person with the bucket calling to the ducks to come for the cracked corn on the ice. I watched as 10 or so ducks took off toward their late breakfast. I thought about the creatureliness of the pond, its mud, its multiform vegetation, rotting and warming, the caddisworm, the perch and the frog way beneath the ice, and even lower, the entwined roots of myriad flora branched for miles through dry land and brackish water, reaching around the mud-enrobed granite that came from the beginning of the world. Recently, I'd read that the roots and capillaries of plants, like Mother Nature's fiber optic cables, communicate the presence of danger, changes in the weather, the arrival of the gardener with boots and spade. Life is so short. I want to taste its goodness and savor the gratitude for what I can. I think all of us do. Dogs, ducks, the caddisworm in its tiny house of sticks, the sparrow and the chickadee puffed against the wind, the muskrat curled in her subterranean den, frog, turtle, catfish asleep in the mud, and the tangled vegetation of the pond, all in their slumbers, twitching with prophetic dreams of spring. And so I wish for you and me a generosity of imagination, a discipline that deepens our capacities for appreciation, contentment, gratitude, moments of good cheer, and occasionally astonishment. So watch how you step and look up. And now we will join together in the unison prayer from the New Zealand Book of Common Prayer, printed in your order of service. Eternal Spirit, Earth Maker, Pain Bearer, Life Giver, Source of all that is and that shall be, Father and Mother of us all, loving God in whom is heaven, the hallowing of your name echo through the universe. The way of your justice be followed by the peoples of the world. Your heavenly will be done by all created beings. Sustain our hope and come on earth. With the bread we need for today, feed us. In the hurts we absorb from one another, forgive us. In times of temptation and test, strengthen us. From trial too great to endure, spare us. From the grip of all that is evil, free us. For you reign in the glory of the power that is love, now and forever. Amen. So let's sing this song, Finlandia tune, and try to think with care and love and clarity about the world we're in today, which is not an easy place to be. So it's number, where are we? Number 159, I think, is it? Yep, in the gray hymnal.
Oh,
should be careful to remember the mic. I should be careful not to go on and on. And, I'm a great believer in brevity is the soul of wit. But, I haven't done this in a while, so I have too much to say. So I've edited it. The other thing that I was asked if I please would not talk about eugenics, because I have pushed a number of people to utter distraction among the clergy by sermonizing, my Jeremiah ad about eugenics, but that's it. You can look it up at home if you don't know what it is. Look it up at home, but we're not going to talk about it today. I'm not. I did want to say, though, that I think it's really important right now for the church, and I'm going to use that church generally to mean houses of worship for whatever faith. So it could be a mosque, a temple, an Oak Grove. But church, this institution like the others, needs to reclaim its ancient power. I think too often we get trapped into calling out injustice and resisting efforts to curtail justice, and especially efforts which I think are very much alive and well, to tear down the wall of separation between the church and state. And if the churches have been having a tough time for, I think, a couple of years, losing members, closing, ministers leaving. There's a lack of power in the church. There's a lack of real life, I think, in the church that needs to be rekindled. And instead of, writing to your representatives, all of which is really important, and becoming active on behalf of peace and justice in this topsy-turvy world, instead of only that, I think we need to act with power. And the ancient power of the church has been abused, of course. It's been misused. It's been murderous. But at its core, we need to take back the fundamental message and purpose of the church, which is to offer sanctuary, to offer a refuge for the people who are going to need safe places to go so that they don't get rounded up and sent away. So I want to advocate for a new birth of activity and purpose and power. This is not a good time to forget that we have the power in this institution to stand up against bad stuff happening to people. And it looks to me like if we don't wake up and join in a great network of faith communities around the world, ideally, to say, we offer you refuge, we offer you safety to the immigrant, to the ones who's grieving, to the dispossessed, for the people who honestly will need physical sanctuary, a safe refuge, because they're rounding people up. So I don't have a simple recipe to make that happen, but I feel like I don't want to sit around and watch a theocracy take hold in this country. And I feel very, very strongly that it's entirely possible. So we need to stand up and claim the best of the church, the best of the power of the church, to help people out, to get to know people, to let people sleep here, to people eat here, for people to get to know each other from foreign places back to home, okay? And find out that, especially I believe, the face of grief is universal. And you really don't need a description, a verbal description of what grief is. If you look around the world, you can recognize your own face in the face of the refugee dad whose children got killed in Gaza, for instance, You look into the face of that man, that mother, that child, and you will see your own. And to me, that's a profound connection. That's a profound connection. And we can make that face to face, personally, if we reclaim the power of the church and make it a safe place, a refuge. And right, I think we can resist what we don't believe, we can resist lies, we can resist violence, but we also need to act because we have the power. We just need to dust it off and shine it up and make it work. That's my hope. And believe me, I'm tired. I don't think I could go to another demonstration. I can do certain things, but I think a lot of us feel helpless to know what can we do so that Ukraine doesn't get back into the Russian Empire again, that they aren't taken away from their land. And it's big stuff. It's hard to know what to do. This, I think, this place, I think we can do that. Plus, now you got all those beautiful new elms. That's gorgeous out there. Really wonderful. Appreciate that. So, where are we? Okay. Yes, the benediction is, of course, given the tone that I just brought to this service of power and fighting for justice. The benediction is in the words of Walt Whitman. He writes, "This is what you shall do. Love the earth and sun and the animals, despise riches, give alms to everyone that asks, stand up for the stupid and crazy, devote your income and labor to others, hate tyrants, argue not concerning God. Have patience and indulgence toward the people. Take off your hat to nothing known or unknown, or to any man or number of men. Go freely with powerful, uneducated persons, and with the young, and with the mothers of families. Read these leaves in the open air every season of every year of your life. Re-examine all you have been told at school or church or in any book. Dismiss whatever insults your own soul, and your very flesh shall be a great poem and have the richest fluency, not only in its words, but in the silent lines of its lips and face, and between the lashes of your eyes, and in every motion and joint of your body." Thank you, Walt Whitman. So now we will sing our parting song, right? Is that right, Peggy? Yes. Coach Peggy, yeah, okay. So we'll stand and sing that, and then Peggy will lead us in extinguishing the chalice. And I gotta say, that needs to be corrected. We don't extinguish the chalice, we extinguish the chalice flame. I'm known for being picky about grammar and words. I'll suggest that. I have some authority to do something like that, I think. All right, so Song of Parting. I don't know, so you got to start it. Oh.
was nice to see her. She was, many years ago when I joined, I forget how long I've been here, at least 20 years.
I started coming in 2000. And in the care test.
Yeah.
I think you were there, right?
Just for us 25 years. I gotta talk to Peter about the next show.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna be
And use that.
familiar. It's gonna be a group show.
Oh, I didn't know he was.
No, he's good. We got such a talent.
That's the population that is there.
It's quite amazing.
When is that next show going?
What's that?
When is that show going?
It's up to him, that's what I want to
yeah.
talk to him. I don't know. But in the winter time, we don't get very many people.
Yeah, I think that's the only way
In the spring to fall,
to identify.
when a lot of people come,
But if they come to you,
surprised how
you
many
need to be ready for them.
get as many as 15 people come and visit the show. The first one was the members congregation, and we had 14 artists and over 40 works of art.
Well,
looking at maybe change is going to come one way or the other. And being somewhere near Ipswich is essential for him. So it has to be, you know, a town that's not too far away. And her parents are there. So, you know, as long as she's not living too near them, it'll be okay. Well, I mean, you know, a mile away, I think that's not a problem. In the same street. So, they're working on it. But, you know, I made it very clear that I would be delighted for them to be at the barn as long as they want me. And, but, you know, between the wedding stuff and teaching and back and forth to Ipswich between your two places, she's on the go all the time. I see her rush out the door to school. And I get a text. I think they've got it all. I think they've got it all set now. You know,
At this point, they probably.
oh yeah. You know,
But still.
Caroline is very organized, and they've been planning this for quite some time. Well, good to see you. I take it you're not having lunch, so I'm
No,
probably
we're
not
gonna stay
either.
for lunch.
Yeah, I'm not either. I might wander down and say hello to folks. Okay, see you.